Hey guys, in this video we're going to take the previous examples and expand upon them and make a class with 4 functions and use all of them, okay? So, crank up Visual Studio, let's go here. Quickly using, and of course the code is very similar, so using system like this, okay? So create some namespace here, namespace, what are you going to call this? Math ops or something like that, okay? And now we're going to type class calc later, like that. Okay, so, and just to show you something new, this time no constructor, okay? So you don't have to explicitly add a constructor, but one is present anyway. So keep that in mind. You can just go directly into public, okay? And now you can say dynamic, of course, and then add, and then dynamic x and dynamic y, and return x plus y, like that, of course. There you go. Return x plus y. Simple enough. Now the rest of these, of course, will be done very similarly. So we'll just Control C and Control V down below and just make the appropriate changes, meaning change the names. So here subtract, like that, and then return the difference here, x minus y. And notice that because each function is its own block, you can use the same variable names. You don't have to change them, okay? So let me add the y over here, like that. There you go. You just keep the same x and y for each one. It's important to understand this, local scope of a function body. Alright, so next here, again, dynamic, let's say this would be the product, so remember that means x times y, and dynamic y, like that. And let's do one more, of course, division, like that. Division is the interesting one, of course, because let me change the name here to multiply. Multiply, there you go. So you have a calculator. Now this calculator has 4 behaviors. You can add and subtract, multiply, and divide values. Enter it into it, for example. Okay. So divide here and return x divided by y. As follows, and all the types are dynamic. Okay, so it's flexible. All right. Now, to make use of this, of course, and also just to point out some of the problems with this. The problems, for example, you see how this is taking so much space. This is, a traditional way of coding functions. As you can see, this is extremely bulky and inconvenient, right? It takes a lot of space. Okay, so there must be a better way, and there's a modern notation. We'll take a look at that in the next video. Alright, that will allow us to collapse all of this whole page into 4 lines of code. Alright, so that's that, and of course here you can just do this too, so you can collapse the individual functions also, like that. Okay, so let's go here with class use calc. Okay, so public static void main, and notice that this time I decided to add the public, and that's fine too, that'll work. Okay, and now of course to call all of these you need to type dynamic x equals say 5.6 and then dynamic y say equals 6. So whatever, and everything is dynamically typed. Now you're gonna say console.writeLine and sum is, put in a placeholder for that, comma, and then here we have to also make an object of the class, right? So we know how to do that. We're going to come up here, and in one line we're going to make that object. So calculator calc equals new calculator, like that, close with a semicolon, and I'm going to type calc dot, and notice that all of them show up now in IntelliSense, which is good, that's what we want, and the next comma y, and close that with a semicolon. And notice that everywhere I'm using the same x and y, right? These are all within the context of each function. Those are local variables. In the context of main, x and y are local variables. That's why you can give everything the same name, okay? The scopes of those are very tiny. There you go. Alright, so then console.writeLine and difference is, and then you're going to do that, comma, and then calc.subtract x comma y, close with a semicolon, and then console.writeLine, and then product is the official word for the result of a multiplication. Product is, and then you'll say that, comma, and then calc dot multiply x comma y, and then close with a semicolon. And lastly, divide. And I want you to think very carefully about something when you divide. I got to include the y over here. There you go. Clearly division by 0 is not allowed. So what I will want you to do is make an improvement to this code by taking where it says return x divided by y and put that within some kind of if-else block where it says if y is not 0, then return the division, else return some standard message or a standard value like 0, for example. Okay? But that's for you to figure out. You figure that part out. Okay, that's called error handling. All right, and then so console.writeLine, and then say ratio is, and then you'll say here comma calc.divide x comma y, close that with a semicolon. Awesome, simple enough. And of course here, as you call this code is highly sequential, so that means it basically runs, you know, the way it's called. So debug and step into and take a look here. You already know the dynamic keyword, I won't explain that. Give it a second. So take a look. This is highly sequential, right? Go to the top, call add, return from add, call subtract, return from subtract, call multiply, return from multiply, call divide, return from divide, and that's it, right? All the values are returned and the program is basically done. So that's it. Okay? So one of your lessons that your assignment is improve this, so it handles division by 0 gracefully. The second one is make 2 classes and then try to implement 3 or 4 behaviors, not just one, but 3 or 4 behaviors in the form, of course, of functions or methods like this, okay, for those classes. And then write code that actually makes use of those behaviors and make them somewhat meaningful, okay, so they do something. And that's it. So thanks very much. This is the first code chunk, and then here is the rest of the code. There you go. It's also in Sidewire as a PDF. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in another video.